like to ask you, in your 10-year deficit projections, how much has the legislation enacted so far by this Congress affected them, including the American Rescue Plan and the bipartisan infrastructure framework?
Oh, okay. No, absolutely. And as I'm holding up the report, it's on page 30 of our report. Figure 2-2 goes through and shows the impact of the major legislation. And so you can see that the the early pandemic legislation, especially the CARES Act, was essentially contributed over $2 trillion to the deficit last year, and another roughly $500 billion this year, and so on. You can see in there the American Rescue Plan Act also was over $1 trillion in 2021, and then about $400 billion this year. Now, since February 21, overall, the legislation that's been enacted has increased spending by $3.4 trillion, and of that, $2.4 trillion was since our July 2021 update. So it's $3.4 trillion in legislation since February 2021.
Already.
That's right, and that's under current law. Of course, that would not include Build Back Better, since that is not part of current law. Okay.
Now, I'll give you another question. There have been a lot of actions of the Biden administration, and quite frankly, I think the high unemployment, which began in the CARES Act, was to a certain extent extended by President Biden. I think that encourages people not to work. You made the assumption in your presentation today that unemployment is going down because the pandemic is ending and less people are sick or whatever. Do you think part of the reason unemployment is going down is we're going to peel off those excessively high unemployment benefits? Could that be one of the reasons why more people are getting back to work? We no longer bribe people quite as much not to work.
That is certainly part of it. And one of the things that we see today, as compared to our our economic projections a year ago, is that there's about a million, just over a million, it's like 1.1 million people who are still out of the labor market, who we thought a year ago would be back.
What do you attribute that to? Generous government benefits, or what?
It's a mix. It's got, in part, we think it's the the effects of unemployment insurance and the other transfers last year had some impact. It's also health concerns, it's childcare. I think we all understand that the federal government hasn't given clear guidance to childcare providers. I mean, it affects me, the 276 people I work with here. Our childcare providers. It's just a welter of. I
want to give you another question along that vein. Since January 2021, the Biden administration has spent hundreds of billions of dollars without congressional approval through various executive actions. And a lot of these programs are programs in which we pay people not to work. It includes the higher SNAP benefits, about $250 billion, student loan repayment moratoriums, dropping previous actions related to strengthening work requirements and welfare programs, which I think, is clearly you don't want people to work. You want them to depend on the government. Total cost of Biden administration's executive actions could be $500 billion or more. CBO's budget outlook provides information on how much the deficit has increased due to the laws passed by Congress. Do you think you should also include how much it's increased due to the impact of executive actions?
No, and we try to provide as much information as we can. And some of this is in the baseline. For example, you mentioned the Thrifty Food Plan update that increased SNAP benefits. So that's in the baseline. That turned out it's roughly $225 billion over the 10 from 2022 to 2032. There's other executive actions that we can't quantify. There's the EO 13990 relating to the climate change. We just we can't pinpoint where that enters into the budget. There's just not enough specificity for us to say what's the impact on the budget. So when we can, we certainly try to provide that information. And sometimes, it's just a little bit too amorphous for us to pinpoint.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for the extra time, Mr. Chair.